The Star Wars Holiday Special.
Chewie, check and see if the coast is clear, will you?
Hey, CBS, what's coming on?
Friday, blast off to a galaxy far, far away. It's the Star Wars Holiday Special, starring all your Star Wars favorites. Will Chewbacca get home to his planet in time for the big Wookiee holiday celebration? Watch and find out. 7 Central and Mountain.
You're on.
Tomorrow on CBS.
From Kenner, Star Wars Holiday Special Collection comes Mala, Itchy, Lumpy, and all 20 action figures, including the new Bloodlow, Zutmore, and more, each sold separately. Details on specially marked packs at participating stores. Offer expires May 31st. Star Wars Holiday Special action figures, sold separately from Kenner.
Well, how about holiday special? Any weird thoughts or special thoughts on the holiday special that we can kind of point to?
I've only seen it once, and I've never gone back and watched it ever again.
Totally understand.
Do you remember making this Christmas special? I think it was 1978.
And I had it, I invited people over, and we started to watch it, and it is so bad, it's not good.
You know, after all these years, Lucasfilm is still saying, Mark, I wish you wouldn't talk about that.
You have no memory of this incident.
It's Kenner's new trail tracker, battery not included.
Take a crayon, draw a line, the trail tracker van will follow behind.
As you draw a line on the play map, the trail tracker will follow it. Draw it straight or curvy, even a wavy line.
The trail tracker van is tracking the line.
The trail tracker with play map and 4 crayons, new from Kenner.
This Christmas, people are being very choosy.
Merry Christmas.
It's perfect.
Snoopy and Woodstock. Oh, thank you, my dear.
If you want to do something that'll be genuinely appreciated, be choosy and get Genuine Bell. Because when you get right down to it, this isn't the phone. This is.
Merry Christmas, Daddy.
For me?
It's for you.
Be choosy, get Genuine Bell.
Tomorrow on CBS.
An outstanding World Series, 3 home runs in 1 game.
Now that was a day I'll never forget. And it helped me to get my own candy hit. Reggie, with a rich caramel center, lots of fresh roasted peanuts, and a super chocolatey covering. Reggie, the candy they named after me. Reggie, you taste pretty good.
Dolly, Saturday at 7.
I was wondering if you could talk about the filming of the Star Wars Christmas special.
Tape's been passed around for years, and the rumor is that Lucas is trying to suppress it because none of you look happy while you're making this thing. And I thought I'd just ask you about it.
There's sort of one kind of rogue Star Wars element, which is the Star Wars Holiday Special. I wonder what would...
Can we cut tape? Cut tape now. This is not allowed.
I read it and I said, this is awful. Why are we doing this?
Peace and harmony. That's all I really remember, except thinking, what is Art Carney doing with the Wookiees?
All right, folks, welcome. Star Wars Day is here. Hopefully you're having fun. We're enjoying different times together, talking about different elements of the films coming out. We're going to do reviews. There's live streams coming. Make sure you check the description. There's a full playlist there. I have a great guest with us. Troy PACELLI is back with me, and his stuff is there. So make sure you connect with him and what he's doing over on his channel as well. Troy, my brother, thank you for hanging out with me, my friend.
Salute. Thank you so much for having me. It's always an honor to be on your channel.
Well, it's just such a blessing to be able to spend time with you. And we're going to talk about something that I think some people, it's funny how many people probably haven't even watched it. They just have heard the horror. They've heard how bad it is. They've heard the cast members, you know, pile on it, whatever. And yet you make a point every year to try to, and I couldn't make this year. Something happened and I couldn't, oh man, I wanted to. Yeah. But why? Why are you the clinger on? Why is Troy PACELLI the one going, no, one more year, we must remember?
Well, okay, for starters, you know, for all the bad PR that the holiday special gets, first you got to look at it from the point of view of someone that's our age, right? We grew up in the 70s. So this idea of a variety show, I don't think most people younger than us even really understands that concept, right? So the idea that this was kind of something adjacent to Star Wars, you didn't take the canon too seriously. You see B. Arthur singing a song in the canteen and stuff. You're like, okay, whatever, you know. But I loved it. I loved it. This was also in that stretch of time between Star Wars and Empire. Again, remember, these were the old days, folks, where we didn't have home media yet. We didn't even have VCRs yet. So if you wanted to see Star Wars, you had to go hope that they re-released it on the big screen, and they did do that a couple times. Or you'd hope that it came to commercial TV, and then there was a whole bunch of commercial interruptions, and sometimes they edited stuff out and whatnot. That was the only way you were going to see Star Wars. And again, this era before the internet, we didn't know the behind the scenes scuttlebutt, you know, whether or not there was going to be a sequel. We didn't know if Empire Strikes Back was literally right around the corner. So when we heard coming up on the holiday season that there was going to be a Star Wars holiday special, man, I'm going to get to see the Star Wars characters again on TV in my home at the holidays. This was right after Thanksgiving. It was the 17th. So it was right after Thanksgiving. And I was like, man, this is going to be great. And, but the thing about it was, again, no home media. If you didn't catch it live, it wasn't recorded, so you didn't get to see it. You were out if you weren't in front of that TV. And I have a couple friends that were like, I tried and I couldn't get home in time, or whatever the case was, or mom decided we had to go somewhere, and so I missed it. And the parents always used to say, well, you'll catch it in the reruns. This one never was rerun. So I have fond memories of it. And then jump ahead 30, 40 years, and it's like your memory gets a little dim, right? So I get a hold of because now the internet, you can get whatever you want. And so I get a hold of my own copy of it, right? Multiple copies of it. I have, multiple copies here. I've got the Riff Tracks version. Yep, there you go. I got I've got some parody versions. I got a recording of the rewatch that I did with Big Al. So, and yeah, if you watch it exactly the way it was produced, yeah, some of it's not so great. You know, there's some places you could fast forward.
But here's the thing too, you know, you really are hitting on some stuff, because this is 78 we're talking about, not 77. So you know, over a year has passed.
Yeah,
we have finally gotten merch. It has completely consumed everyone's lives. It's literally in or around pretty much everything.
Yep.
And Lucas, to his genius,
knew
all he had to do was try to keep feeding the machine of this. If he could figure out new avenues of keeping it in the lexicon, and I don't know that he's ever said this. Maybe you know of an interview where he said this, that he knew he could secure enough funding. He knew for sure that it would continue. He knew he could keep getting it because it would just keep going. And you remember, I have a news clip of them talking about it where it's like, this film was made with $9 million and no one expected it to make money back and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, within 14 days, Star Wars has blown everybody away with exceeding Jaws. And it's like, okay, so he knew.
Yep.
But he also knew, listen, these people are, none of these people get me. He talks about it to this day. None of these people get me. They don't like it. They don't like me. They don't like it. He knew. He still talked about it even into the end of the prequels. When he's talking about Revenge of the Sith, he's still referring like, of course they don't like it. They never have liked any of it. Like, he's totally astute to how bad all this works. And the only way he could do it was leverage.
Yep.
So, all right, maybe I could get some of the old ladies too. Let's do a variety show. Let's get some singing and some dancing and tell the three of them I own them. They have to come back. I mean, I could just see some of this stuff happening. And it was when I met you and you like dropped this on me and you said, oh yeah, we do it every year. And I was just like, what in the name of God has got you that you want to endure? But I understand. I do understand. Because like you said, there was well, again, we're also children. So for those of you who just look at us in our old age, when we say things like, there was no internet, you understand we're children. So we don't even understand like I got to be honest, Star Wars made me learn I learned what the Oscars was.
Yeah.
I learned how to read the TV guide better.
Yep.
The comic book was a big deal because that was my Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like when I got the Star Wars comic book, that was like this thing because I was still a little too young to read the novelization, but talk about leveling up your vocabulary.
Yep.
Which you could read the novelization. Trading cards had all the stuff on the back.
Yes. There was a lot of what we now call EU lore that you got from those cards.
Absolutely.
But not only that, from the toys themselves, the names for the characters and whatnot. They didn't have names in the film. So we when I said Snaggletooth, you knew who I meant, even though that name never appears in the film at all.
Hammerhead, Walrus Man. When E.T. is making those references, it is hitting the heartstrings of every Star Wars fan because we knew the stuff. We knew what that was talking about, right? And
speaking of toys, so here was our internet, right? I was such a fan that I went and I joined the fan club, right? And this was about that time, and I started getting their newsletter. Now this was before it was a big magazine. It was a gatefold paper pamphlet called Bantha Tracks. And it had interviews with the George Lucas, and he would talk about how he had planned this out as three sets of three trilogies, and the first one was going to be the adventures of Obi-Wan Kenobi. The second one was going to be the adventures of Luke Skywalker, and he really hadn't planned out the third one yet, clearly. And so that was very exciting. And there's a lot of lore that it kind of goes to why our generation was a little bit disappointed with the prequels, because we had all this lore about where Darth Vader came from and how all that started and whatnot. And although they hit the broad points of it with those prequel trilogies, it wasn't quite the way he described it in those Bantha Tracks. So what are you going to do about that? But the toys. One of the things I remember from Bantha Tracks was a preview of the toys that they had not in production, that they were planning for the holiday special.
Yep.
They had Mala, Itchy, and Lumpy, the Wookiee family, and they had Boba Fett.
From Kenner's Star Wars collection comes the Stormtrooper, the Sand People, and all 20 action figures, including new Hammerhead, Snaggletooth, and more, each sold separately. And now, Boba Fett, Star Wars villain with his laser rifle. Boba Fett is not yet available in stores, but you can get him free with 4 proofs of purchase from any Star Wars action figures. Details on specially marked packs at participating stores. Offer ends May 31st. Star Wars action figures sold separately from Kenner.
And honestly, folks, Boba Fett was introduced in the holiday special. So for all of you that think, Boba Fett's the greatest thing, he was so mysterious, he was this and that, it starts with the toy, because the toy, the free mail away for Boba Fett was meant to be, and this was like before the holiday special, when you got Boba Fett in the mail, there was a little thing that said, as seen in the holiday special, So it was meant to be the first one referencing the holiday special, and you didn't know anything about this. All you saw was his appearance in the holiday special until Empire Strikes Back. And you have all this mystery. You're looking at this, and he's got the firing backpack, and he's got these gizmos on his wrist, and you don't know anything about him. So we're looking forward to Empire Strikes Back. That's why it's cemented in so many people's minds. And that's why everyone's got this belief of what he was, and then gets so disappointed as they start fleshing him out more and more. That's where he comes from.
With that, it's only appropriate. This is another reason why we need to have him on, is we have a gentleman who can share with us the toy experience.
From Kenner, Star Wars Holiday Special Collection comes Mala, Itchy, Lumpy, and all 20 action figures, including the new Bloodlow, Zutmore, and more, each sold separately. And now, Akmina, Star Wars bartender, with her drink dispensing pitcher. Akmina is not yet available in stores, but you can get her free with 4 proofs of purchase from any Star Wars Holiday Special action figures. Details on specially marked packs at participating stores. Offer expires May 31st. Star Wars Holiday Special action figures, sold separately from Kenner.
Folks, isn't that the freaking best? It makes...
I got a lot of great feedback on that. It is one of my most popular videos, and I even had people, in the comments, where can I get those? Well, just look at the description for the video. Every figure, if it's not, an original figure and it's obvious, like the Snaggletooth and so forth, it's a custom figure, and I say exactly where I got them from. In fact, I've got one right here. I'll show it on. This is the Pana Dragon from the holiday special.
That. Hang on a second. Let's get this blown up.
Yeah. Oh, let me center this.
That is
with
perfect.
The Boba Fett with the firing backpack. This does launch. I'm not going to do it here because I don't want to lose it. This comes from Pro Custom Figures, and you'll notice too. Oh, this is kind of cool. Just like the old Patrol Dewback, fake legs, and he goes into the back, and then it looks like he's sitting on him. But I painted it instead of leaving it brown like the Dewback. And although the head does turn, I don't want to do it too much because this is solid resin, so it's not really. It's more of a display piece than anything else. But it is going to be going into a diorama that I'm working on with Luke and R2 and 3PO in the landed Y-wing and so forth. On the water and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that. Probably get that done maybe before the next holiday special. But
awesome.
But yeah,
let's pull up a little bit of that so people can get a little dose and some thoughts that you would have on some of this, because
sure,
because I think that it has its little rub. We get our little introduction here, and I will say this is another reason why I've always cut Return of the Jedi a lot of slack, is because of the holiday special. And what I mean by that is we weren't supposed to have Ewoks. We were going to have Wookiees. Jedi was going to take place on Kashyyyk, and we were going to get Wookiees. And it's like, oh, half the price, half the budget, half the size. It's all that kind of cliche. Yeah. And we know it because of this holiday special. So you know how old a fan is if they know that and get that leeway for Jedi, because people who don't know that usually kind of hold the Ewok stuff against Lucas and it was just for toys and it was whatever. I'm like, I mean, sure, everything was for toys. First, that to me, it's a silly argument. However, really isn't. He really is showing us in the holiday special. He really loved the Wookiee character and the mythology that he kind of created around it.
And not only that, he's not like a David Lynch where you never know what he intended. He says right out what he intended. His doing the Ewoks and whatnot was meant to be an analog and a commentary on Vietnam. So, you know, the weaker forces, you know, taking on the bigger empire and so forth.
And then we get into our first
Cirque du Soleil,
Cirque du Soleil on top of a chessboard. So yeah, lots of Wookiee stuff, and then we have Mark showing up with R2, getting a message.
Yeah,
calling Luke
with way too much eye makeup.
Yeah, there it is.
And you stop right on it. That's perfect.
Oh, I tried to make sure I just knew I had a mark there, like hit this spot. I can't believe it actually landed there because sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So, it actually almost kind of doesn't look like him in some ways. Like it just doesn't quite. You almost feel like it's not quite right. Like what's happening? It's
the big part is his hair.
His hair. Yeah,
his hair is not a style that he had in any of the films.
Right.
It was very clear this was, we're making it up as we go here, you know?
Yeah. So tons of stuff. And I have to admit, I do have an affinity for a lot of set design and stuff like that. That's like one of the things I love about watching films and doing stuff like that. And I tend to, maybe I need to reference this more often. Like, I don't know that we'll ever see a Halo season 2 because that's what kind of birthed Talk Hard, was us bashing and turning Halo into basically a Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah,
there is more set design in the holiday special than there is in Halo, and it makes me smile every time I watch this. It's like, listen, I know it's cheesy and cheeky, but I'm like, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in the background.
Yeah. And as goofy as like this scene in particular, you know, you've got Sandan who runs, you know, a general store on Tatooine or whatever, and the Imperial officer comes in, looks at his stuff, and you know, spoiler, he leaves without paying. He says, "I'll take it." He goes, "Oh, well, you going to charge that? Are you going to pay me cash?" He goes, "I said I'll take it." "Oh, okay." And I mean, you know, that whole dictatorial military regime, you know, it's like for all the jokes, there's also that level of seriousness beneath it, you know?
I was looking up to see if Art Carney ever got a trading card.
I wouldn't be surprised. He should have done.
I wonder if they did he has a Last Action Hero card. I don't see a Sundan. Maybe probably somebody did a.
Well,
I may have made a one. I'm shocked because there actually was, like, when they did the 93, the first edition of Star Wars Galaxy cards, they actually have a tribute card to the Boba Fett scene. And then in Series 2, they added some droids. So those were always two of my biggest selling cards from that set, because those are like basically like the very first appearance of Boba Fett. They literally represented the very beginning, and those two cards always did very well in the marketplace because of that. Even though it was mass produced, and none of this stuff's worth a ton of money, but it definitely was cool. So
by the end of the year, though, I will have put together a Sandan action figure, so I'll show that.
I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, Harvey Korman.
Did I get Harvey before this? Did I miss him?
Was there another one before him? I think this is the first one. Yeah. This is the Harvey Korman riffs on Julia Child.
Yes.
And again, you got to remember, this was in the days before you had recordable, you know, home media. So if you watched a cooking show, you had to move very quickly. You couldn't stop and pause. So if you were watching Bob Ross paint, you had to have the paints already ready to go. If you were watching Julia Child, you had to have the ingredients already ready to go. And if she got ahead of you, you were lost. You were screwed. This sketch bumps it up another notch because it's an alien that's got 4 hands. So the theory being, you know, there's no way you could keep up with her.
How many people don't know that's Harvey? We don't know
Yeah.
Harvey's part of all this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Harvey's got multiple roles in this, right?
He does. He's in at least 3 roles, including that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's Harrison.
Yep.
Here's our communication.
Yeah.
Back to the Wookiees, Art Carney, more Wookiees.
Oh gosh. Diane Carroll, yes.
Let's jump ahead, right? Let's jump ahead to something else a lot more fun, right?
A little more child friendly. This was very embarrassing to be watching with the parents, let me tell you.
Well, tell everybody a little bit of why that is.
Okay. So Sondan, your general store, you know, he's also a rebel sympathizer. He's an agent, and he's the go-between between Han and Chewie and the Rebel Alliance and Chewie's family. The whole premise of this is Han is trying to get Chewie home for Life Day, but he's got to get through an Imperial blockade, and you know they're, of course, wanted fugitives, you know, and all this kind of stuff. So Sondan is bringing them the message they're on their way, you know, whatnot, and then trying to help them out with the fact that, you know, there's an occupying military force there. So he shows up for Life Day, which is like Wookiee Christmas, and he brings them Life Day gifts, and he brings a little electronic toy for Lumpy, which becomes important later in the story, and he brings an entertainment unit for Mala, which interestingly was as all the props were, they were made from other practical things. This was a hairdryer unit. You'd unfold it and you'd put the thing on the head and it would inflate. And my mom had one of these, so I recognized it. But that part's taken off and it opens up and it plays a hologram inside. And for Itchy, the grandfather, he's got this.
He gets the hot lady.
Yeah, it's
virtual reality fantasy.
He sits down in something called a mind evaporator, which also looks like a hair dryer that he puts on his head. Yeah, there it is. And he puts in this cassette so that he can see Diane Carroll saying, "I am your fantasy." And ooh, you are excited, aren't you? And an adult watching this kind of realizes this is Wookiee adult material here, is what this is. You know?
It's so crazy.
Which went over my head, you know, when I was 7 years old.
For those of you who know, worried about us, it doesn't get to explain. It's just, this all was like way over our heads. Yeah. Now, we may, if any of people are about 7 years older than us.
Yes.
They would have gotten this very, very
My
much.
father thought this was hysterical. And my mother was not too
mortified.
pleased.
Our mothers were mortified. My grandfather would be like, that kind of stuff. Like this, that, yeah.
Just like Itchy was doing that scene. Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was one of the elements. All right. So we got now we got to get to Carrie.
So
Carrie. So all right. So if you guys don't know, well, all right. I'll let my guess. Like I let Troy run the Troy. It's all about Troy.
I'm sorry.
I know. It's like when you know. So there are people right now who may not have ever watched the OT, who may not have a clue to how crazy life was in the 70s.
Yeah.
And hence did not understand Carrie.
Yeah.
And they only understand her as like this, what we have elevated as this regal version of Princess Leia. But reality is the holiday special should have been a red flag for everyone.
So we have to back up, right? So Carrie Fisher, and I think a lot of people do know how she
now
passed,
I think they do, sure.
Especially after how she passed and whatnot. She had a life of, she had a lot of substance abuse problems, and she came from a Hollywood background, so the alcohol flowed, very, very easily. But she was very open about her addictions.
It's in her book, right?
It is. What is it? Postcards from the Edge, I think it was. Yeah. She talks all about it, and the whole Hollywood scene the promiscuity and drugs and so on and so forth. And a lot of fans will point to, there's the scene where there's in Empire Strikes Back where they've just made it through the asteroid field, and Han Solo says, I knew we'd make it. And she goes, I have my moments. She goes, not many of them, but you do it. She pats him on the shoulder, and they kind of focus in on that because it's a key shot. But you notice that her pinky finger nail is significantly longer than all the other nails on her hand, and any child of the 70s knows why that is. So backing up a little bit. This again was just that year before Empire Strikes Back, and there's this scene where the Mala is calling Rebel headquarters or something, I don't know, trying to find out where Han and Chewie are, and she gets C-3PO who says, "Your Majesty, we gotta," and she comes around the desk that she's at to come talk to the camera, and she stumbles and she, whatnot. And it's very clear. And she's not quite slurring her words, but she's not enunciating quite as well as we remember her from the original movie. And she had been putting on the Life Day cheer a little early, I think.
That's a fair way to say that. So we can do that. Let's, okay. So everybody knows that we're not completely crazy. Let's.
I'm not saying I'm not crazy. I'm just saying this isn't an indicator.
Well, listen, folks have to understand that we are not about to lead people astray here. Let's make sure they understand what we're talking about. Very public knowledge stuff. Very easy to find.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not the one I want. I want this one.
Oh, it was Return of the Jedi. I thought it was Empire. I'm sorry.
No, it's Empire. Well, this is also in Jedi, but this was one where somebody had it circled in Jedi. It persisted. It's multiple shots. Yeah. So this is the shot in Jedi. So this is it. Yeah. The pinky was trimmed, but the index finger is significantly longer.
You notice it's even a little white around the edge there.
Oh, it's a little lady. Yes. So yeah, it. Listen. If you don't understand it, it's like, you don't necessarily understand where we're coming from. So, all right. Meanwhile, Carrie is the first to at least let you know, though. She was very honest about things. It's not like she was also like out there trying to pretend. One of the things I think that was also the most endearing element of her, why fans really, really adore Carrie Fisher. Because she was also very honest and owned all this. She was transparent about all these transgressions. And we as fans, I don't know about you, Troy, but I feel like I felt bad for her. Like, I'm sorry you went through all that to get me good movies. I mean, I didn't want you to have to go through all that. Like, that wasn't, I'm sorry. Like, you feel almost like, you didn't have to do that for us. Like, that was a little, you didn't have to do that part. I know that's a weird thing, but I think that was kind of our generation's response to her story. It's like, I'm sorry.
And I think that it was, for me at least, it was the introduction to that whole concept that acting, especially the kind of acting they're doing, is hard work. I think even to this day, I think a lot of people don't even realize what people in that industry go through. And, I was talking about, the behind the scenes, the dark side of Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. But there's also the outright work that they do where they could get injured, and dealing with things like exhaustion and whatnot, and the lines they have to remember. And don't forget, for those of us that have seen Star Wars over and over and over again and can recite it, keep in mind that when they were given their scripts, those scripts were being changed daily. So if they memorized the entire script, they'd have to unlearn it, and learn this next piece of dialogue that day before lunch.
And this was commonplace back in that era too. Like Jaws is notorious. They were literally writing scripts like, that day.
Right.
Like they're literally like, okay, well, let's do this today. Like they
Yeah.
didn't know what to do. So this was definitely part of it. So just a quick shot. Yes, there were stormtroopers, which
Yes.
again, many of us were like, yes, stormtroopers.
Yep.
So, we were not stormtrooper haters. Some people are. And then we got our disco number. We got a little, we got some fun music going on here.
And that was another thing that the adults looked at, and he's like, "What is he singing into?
What is happening here?" Like,
exactly.
What? Yeah.
But the other thing too is this is Jefferson Starship, which up until this point was Jefferson Airplane. If you grew up in the 70s,
yeah.
But they changed their name to Jefferson Starship. Then they started doing this, light show.
Power droids and Imperial stuff. Tons of stuff before we get to the cartoon.
And there is that electronic toy that he got that he uses to communicate, trying to get a communication out. And it leads to, some conflict with the Imperials in a little bit, but yeah.
And there's our creature.
There's their Panana Dragon.
Earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have tons of that kind of stuff in here as well. So yeah, love it.
This cartoon on its own this is the only thing that's been officially released by Lucasfilm. It came out on, I think it was the Blu-ray set of the films. But this is the only thing that they considered to be, in any way official.
I think they released the animated sections on Disney Plus. I think it's even on there. So
I wouldn't be surprised. And the animation studio that did this went on to do the Droids and Ewoks cartoon series on Saturday mornings, which you can tell when you see Boba Fett. It's exactly the same Boba Fett.
Yeah. So this is the general gist of some of it, guys. I don't want to go through every single minute because you wanted to say
that was probably the worst bit.
We got back to Harvey.
Yeah.
With another one of his roles. Now, I will
say
a lot
of unused footage from Star Wars here.
Okay,
this is a scene that was on the cutting room floor that they reused.
Yeah. I loved it. I thought this part was great.
Oh, it's Six Fingers, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's B.
Yep.
B. Arthur. It all felt very Star Wars. Here we go. Some cantina love.
Yep.
Gotta give people what they want. B. Arthur in a cantina. Harrison again.
Yeah. So, they finally make it. They have their ceremony for Life Day, and
it
gets really, really trippy.
And there's Nirvana Limited. Yeah. I think it's one of these things where I think there's a sentimental love of it when you live through it. And, it didn't go maybe as everybody wanted. It's got this weird feel to it because of the variety show nature of it all and some of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I think that they're really missing the boat by not trying to at least just acknowledge their actual history. But I know how it is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I get it. So,
well, and there does seem to be this push to let's market the new stuff. Let's not market the old stuff. So they're not going to tap into, the unreleased, thing and start marketing on that. They want to market on the new stuff. I get that, but I will not let it go.
And Lucas said, it's like, I know what happened last time whenever I let, I say, actually I think it's made fun of. Let me see if I have that clip handy too. I may have that one handy too while we talk about it. So any other thoughts on like this whole process for you and some of the elements that, I don't want to say I think you love all of it, but reality makes this such a special.
It does. And see, again, seeing those prototype action figures that never got made, I'm one of those people that goes, that's unacceptable to me. Those toys, I wanted them. So I will make them myself if I have to. So you see those figures that I made, I bought the parts for, and it's a collaborative effort, but I make them exist because I choose to. I'm working on a play set that'll be the Wookiee Chewbacca's home on Kashyyyk, complete with a mind evaporator. I'll do the whole kit and caboodle, because they didn't exist when I was a kid. I'm gonna keep this stuff alive.
Isn't it really fascinating? I don't know about you, but as I've been going through all these commercials, there's a whole lot of toys that I never saw. Like there's a whole lot of toys. I mean, I've seen them as an adult, not necessarily, you know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things where when they were happening, I don't remember it being there. But I think it's also too because some of their toys were just things that Kenner could make.
Yeah,
because they had molds and stuff from other things. And it was like, well, it's not real Star Wars-y, and they're not really fun play sets. Like you were saying earlier, I'd rather have an X-Wing. I'd rather have a TIE fighter. I didn't really want this Death. It wasn't the Death Star. It wasn't the actual Death Star. It was like these little play set things that were like, ew, all right. A lot of
and
those.
The Cantina play set was literally just this vacuum form thing with a cardboard back. I've got a video that's going to be coming out in a day or two. Talking about my version of the Cantina that I'm putting together.
That's awesome.
But in fact, as you've been sharing those commercials, Netter was watching a bunch of them, and she's like, "Hey, did you have this remote control R2-D2?" And I'm like, "Nope, I didn't. I had a buddy who did, but I never had that." And I knew what she was thinking. She's thinking, "Do you want one?" No. That was not one of the things I was after. I was laser focused on those 3 3/4 inch things, and that's kind of what I stuck to. But I
always told somebody the story. I said, Star Wars was a little bit different for me because I was really pretty content. I think with most of the things like you were saying, I had my set of figures. I wanted more stormtroopers so I could emulate having more stormtroopers, things like that. But I really didn't care about. I had a couple of play sets, but I wasn't like addicted to having every single thing that was made. And I really tell the story of like when Transformers came, and the metal ones were extremely expensive.
Yeah,
it was usually you with your friends. Like I would have one, my brother might have one. We had friends that might have one. It's like nobody had like, it's just like it was financially not a plausible thing, but you could get everybody together. You could have all these cool elements together and things like that. So even with Star Wars, that was to a certain extent with some of those play sets, but we all kind of, we just love the experience of it all and things like that. Gosh, we were so grateful for what we got. I don't met a lot of people who were like, oh man, they were greedy little brats back then. I don't really remember my friends ever being like that.
There was, and Netter and I have talked about this a bunch too, especially at the holidays. One of the great memories at the holidays is those Sears and Montgomery Ward's, those catalogs, and you go through and see what the toys were that were coming out that they were going to have, and you'd mark the things that you wanted, and if you got them or not, it wasn't even that important. It was the excitement and the maybe and the looking and it was like kitty window shopping, that kind of a thing. Because there was also the reality that you knew back in the 70s, actually, we're kind of living through an economy that was very much like the 70s at the time, where gas prices were through the roof and it was even being rationed and money was incredibly tight. So the price of anything that was plastic went through the roof. Think about that. Oil prices are high, therefore plastic prices are high. They're both petroleum products. So so that's why they went from 12-inch G.I. Joe to the 6-inch Mego figures to the 3 3/4-inch Star Wars figures to save on plastic. So I knew that money was tight and that I couldn't expect all the things I wanted. So I really was happy with what I got. And I didn't ask for the 12-inch action figures. And I didn't ask for the remote control thing that didn't go with the mini figures and the whatnot. I focused on the little figures. There you go.
Look at that. How's that for an OG? 1978. There's our Christmas. We were talking about.
There's that Death
on the
Star
left
that I was talking about. Yeah.
And I have to be honest. I think with you, my first one was a land speeder, and I think my second one was an X-wing, and then I got a TIE fighter. Yeah. Yeah.
I never had the TIE fighter. My buddy David did. So I'd be the Rebel pilot. He'd be the Imperial pilot.
On the left, is that a case? Is that that Darth Vader case?
I think that's the Darth Vader case. Yeah.
I had the Darth Vader case. I didn't have the 3PO case. I had one case.
I had the Vader. I had the C3PO, and then later they put out one in the shape of the Millennium Falcon. Upper right corner there. You have that is the Sears. So I know this is the Sears catalog.
Yes,
that was the Sears exclusive Creature Cafe or whatever it was called.
Yep.
That was the only way that you could get you were able to get the I don't remember, it's 3 or 4 Cantina Denizens before they were released on cards, and one of them was Snaggletooth.
He's
and
right there in the middle.
Yeah,
right
it
here.
was taller and he was blue instead of red.
Oh,
that is one of those.
Not all websites play nice with this, folks. Sorry about that.
But
a little bit bigger. He's right here.
Yeah.
He is very, very expensive. If you try to find him loose or wherever you find him, you're gonna. Yeah, he's probably been counterfeited a million times as well.
And part of the reason is because, again, this was before the internet. If you saw this in the Sears catalog, you did not know. I didn't know as a kid that was an exclusive to Sears.
No,
I had no concept. So for Christmas, I had everybody looking for the blue Snaggletooth, not knowing first that it only came with that play set. Otherwise, I would have been asking for that play set. And number 2, that you could only get it at Sears. So they were going to Toys R Us, asking around. Nobody knew what anyone was talking about. So that's how most people missed it.
Play set's right there. Then here's your zoom in right here, showing him right here next to Greedo. So, all right, let's fast forward a year. And we get a little bit of a close up on that ad right here.
There you go.
And then we got a Dewback.
There's that Dewback I was talking about. Yeah.
And then they added Boba. So you've got the Boba in this ad.
Yep.
There's power droids and Jawas. Those are cloth. Yep. Those are cloth Jawas.
Yep. And down below, those were the little die-cast versions. Yep. I actually had those. Those were those things that people got you just because they thought you'd want it.
Yeah, and there's the other Snaggletooth. We all had the regular Snaggletooth.
Right.
Yep. So then we can scroll down here. This is piratesandprincesses.net.
Yeah.
It's a Sears ads. There's
Millennium Falcon. Again, didn't have it as a kid. My buddy David did.
I didn't get a Falcon until I was 10. I visited my maternal grandmother for the first time. I never met her before. She'd given me a birthday card for every year I would have been alive. So, first birthday card, $1, second birthday, $2, so on. And I bought a Linen Falcon.
I didn't get a Falcon until I was 35. Yeah, I got the bigger one that they put out with the 90s release, and then Netter got me the Toys R Us Millennium Falcon Extraordinaire that hung down from the ceiling. It's about 6 feet long. I'm customizing that to put in the cockpit and the cargo bay and so forth.
So there's the rectangle storage case right in here in the center, and there's blue Snaggletooth over from red Snaggletooth.
Yep.
Here's a early Boba Fett. That's the tall figure,
12-inch figure. Yeah.
Next to Zargon, it's like Shogun Warriors are like, hey, we're here too. Yeah.
And ironically, again, the Shogun Warrior that had the firing bits that they didn't have after that line of figures because they were so dangerous
here's the pricing table over here on the left. You can see X-Wing Fighter with 1144.
Man, you can't even get action figures for that price now.
All sorts of crazy stuff there. JCPenney, yes, they had 2. That was 1980. So now we're on the Empire line.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the Star Destroyer.
Oh, that was that was probably the worst.
It's a terrible design.
Yeah.
It's such
I never even asked for it
because of this Vader thing. It's like I don't. Yeah. There's their Falcon. There's their other stuff. Now I did get a Tauntaun very early. I love the Tauntaun. I had the Tauntaun forever.
I had the Tauntaun too. I loved it.
Yeah, I love these two. There's the troop transport and Droid Factory. Here's a Sandcrawler.
Yeah, I did not have the troop transport. I didn't get that until the Mandalorian came out and they re-released it. Didn't have the droid factory and really wanted it because that was the only way you could get an R2D2 with the middle leg was in that.
All right, folks, let's take a break and show those commercials. For you guys don't know what we were watching on TV teasing us, we'll show those two commercials of those toys that we didn't have.
There you go.
I need another leg.
It's Kenner's new Star Wars droid factory that you put together to make your own droids. Jawa action figures sold separately.
Hey, I made R2D2.
You can make your own droids or follow the droid maker blueprints. By switching different tops, arms, and legs, you can make hundreds of droids, up to 5 at a time. The movable crane swings parts where you need them. You can even make droids with wheels.
Gotcha.
The Star Wars Droid Factory. Jawa action figures sold separately. New from Kenner. It's the Star Wars Imperial troop transporter that you put together. Batteries not included. Stormtrooper sold separately.
What's that? It's my troop transporter. It makes 5 more sounds, too. R2D2, where are you? There's the laser cannon, stun gun, and stormtrooper.
Did he say that?
Oh, Dad.
Star Wars Imperial troop transporter. Stormtrooper sold separately. New from Kenner.
Well, there you go, Troy.
Yeah.
There you go. So if you're watching this in chat, you guys, I want to tell you, I found a bunch of commercials. I have more commercials than I'm going to have time to play for. So we'll play more after this stream. We'll play more before the next video. We'll just keep dropping them in and around this. So let's go through some more of these ads, though, because this is kind of fun. This was totally impromptu, by the way. There's a different speeder. Definitely had a different look and feel with it, with the stripes and stuff. They changed all that. Snow speeder. Love my snow speeder. I still have my cloud car.
I literally have 3 snow speeders within spitting distance from me.
Yeah, I still have my cloud car, but it will cost me as much to get the new cockpit covers.
Yeah,
it would be to just get a new cloud car. Like I don't have the covers. Yeah, they're like I think people were running around $10 to $12 a piece.
Yeah,
so I'm like I can buy a cloud car for like $30. Yeah. I was like, well, I just get another cloud car.
Well, here's the question: how important is it to you that they be original? Because like for my snow speeders, I get reproduction parts. They're just 3D printed, and I'm fine with it.
Oh, okay. No, I don't even really. I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like it's one of those things where I think it having all of its warts is just it is what like we have the Batmobile. So I have like the first Batmobile from Batman animated series and Batman 89 stuff, and my kids play with it and we still have it. So it's like, all right, it is what it is. So all the different action figure lines. There's my Vader case wide open. Well, I loved IG-88. I love my figures, man. This is just the best nostalgia for me. So Sears 81. Now, see, there's a good ad. See how they show you what they really look like? That is probably the best representation of the experience because you see it folded out. You can see the color, the display. And man, I tell you, I don't know about anybody else. I didn't have a friend that had the ad at. And every time I see one, it stops me in my tracks.
I did have it. And that was the one that this was like, okay, so obviously the big one from the first movie was the Death Star. The big one from Empire was that AT-AT, and I asked for it, and I wanted it, and I didn't get it for Christmas. I got it a month later for my birthday, and it was that my mom doing the whole, you weren't good enough to get the AT-AT. Santa didn't bring it for you. And then for my birthday, I ended up getting it from my mom, my uncle, and my grandmother all went in together on it because it was that expensive.
Wow. That's fun. Yeah. That's fun. I wonder if any of you, and you guys leave your comments because this is running as a premiere. So if you guys have one, I'd love to know you guys have a Sears catalog, a Penny's catalog with these ads in it. We'd love to see you show it off. So here's 82. Yeah, so some fun stuff there, folks. Some fun stuff here. So this goes all the way through to Jedi. There's a whole room set up by then. I mean, they really had all the stuff working.
I had not all of this stuff, but I had some of it. My buddy David had some of this stuff.
Yeah. I remember more like the sheets and the curtains and stuff. Yeah. I don't remember I didn't have the toy box.
No, I didn't have the toy box either.
And I didn't really have all the stuff like that. We didn't have that kind of. Yeah, we had the sheets and stuff. We didn't have that kind of stuff. There's Jabba.
The repurposing of the droid factory there. From the first movie, they did it for Jabba's palace.
Here's our secondary version of Hoth and transport stuff. Here's your catalog showcasing everything.
Man.
84 still running strong with figures, dropping new figures. You got your Andor line, your Ewok line.
Yeah.
Now we get the Imperial shuttle and the TIE interceptor.
That's the one that got away from me, that Imperial shuttle. That's the one I, to this day, still want.
Yeah, Imperial shuttle. Look at that. Yeah. Ewok Play Center. It's like, I didn't care for that, but man, I wanted that Y-Wing.
You know what? If you had wanted the Ewok Village, you were better off waiting until it was re-released as a playset for the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves figures, because then it came with foliage on top.
Wow. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. So this was so good. Let's see here. What else is there?
The Rancor.
Yeah.
Max Rebo Band.
Have you ever been in one of the Star Wars Celebration or stuff where they have like the life-size Rancor? You can take a picture in it.
Wow. I've never seen that. That's awesome.
It's the best. It's probably one of the main. I know people love to go to Star Wars Celebration. To me, for all the wrong reasons. Go to Star Wars Celebration and it'll just soak up the cosplay. I mean, you want to talk about cosplay. Then 2, get yourself wherever the 501st you're going to do a march, and you see one of the Stormtrooper marches. Oh, it gives me goosebumps. And then go and take pictures next to all these custom vehicles, the Rancor setup, the Jabba the Hutt setup. I mean, it's insanely cool, and it's so expensive, but those are what I enjoyed the most. I was really, at this point, I was getting a little older too, so it's a lot more about trying to convince them to give me some figures and stuff. There's some of the Jedi sheets and stuff. Yeah. There's this.
Now I'll tell you what, Ewok plushies. That was it. My brother actually had the Wicket figure. Those are brilliant.
Yeah, they were into all this. There's some of the blasters and stuff that you could get. There's more like for the Tykes.
Yep.
In hindsight, that R2 toy box is freaking cool.
It is kind of neat, isn't it?
Yeah. All right, now we're running into 85. So people are like, all right, well, they still have stuff. Now it's going on sale a little bit. Still got some stuff. It's like,
and this is where they were going to start pivoting then to the droids and the Ewoks, and it didn't last long after that. They even used them as the excuse to put out like toys that didn't get out in the last line, like the A-Wing fighter and so forth.
So I told people, so basically it's almost, it's just kind of, and it was over because we were, once you get to like 85, we're like,
I was going into high school then. Yeah.
It's like 14, 15, 16. You're kind of out of some of it. You're not, it's like you love it, but you weren't like playing with action figures and stuff anymore. So almost 10 years though. It's right around 10 years of just like, it never stopped. We had Star Wars kind of the whole time. So, well, listen, this was fun. And we're going to load up some commercials after this, because it's like one of those things where I usually on the Saturday morning cartoons, I try to rotate the types of commercials. I try to put in different ones, even some food commercials, because people don't have perspective on why we all love certain cereal and Pop-Tarts. However, this is Star Wars Day, baby. And you want to see some vintage commercials.
Absolutely.
Pop's going to hook you up. But before we go, check out the playlist for the other stuff, so you're all connected on what's going to happen when. We have Return of the Jedi later on. There's stuff going on pretty much the rest of the day. That's pretty much how you plan it out. And go over to this guy. Now, listen, you were talking about doing some extra Star Wars stuff in next few days. So you're going to lock that in?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, so as we all know, everyone, all the normies go, may the 4th be with you. But we know that the real Star Wars Day is what, 25th, right?
Yes.
I got to think. I got to do my maths, which is a Thursday. So the following day, the 26th, My last call is being dedicated to a watch party of the original Star Wars. The original Star Wars, no episode 4, no, New Hope.
New Hope. Yep.
Han Solo shot only. And I will be hosting that off platform so everyone can watch along with us because it's so hard to find that version.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so glad that you guys are doing that. I want, listen, maybe you didn't get to it this year, folks. If you have a channel or maybe you have some ideas and thoughts of how to celebrate the love of Star Wars as an IP, as the movies and toys and whatever it may be that brings you joy and happiness. That was the point of this. It was not about, I'm not even trying to diss on May the 4th or diss on, the companies. I'm just trying to say, look, it means more to us than getting 20% off a t-shirt or buying a 2023 item or that's exclusive or no. This is more about trying to share the love and the history, the passion and that kind of thing. And I'm glad you and I had a chance to look at a catalog ad or two together.
Yeah,
and
that was great.
That was fun. So listen, folks, hang with us. Tell us your comments and stuff like that. Thank you. And thank you again to Troy for hanging out with us, bro. This has been freaking amazing. I love it so much. I appreciate you so much. Folks, make sure you connect to him and make sure you mark on the calendar tomorrow, the 26th, man, Friday. Go hang out with Last Call. Watch the original, before all the finagling, 77 Star Wars with this guy and some folks. Have a good time. Thank you, guys. Stay tuned. There'll be more after this.
Hey, CBS. What's coming on?
Monday from the creators of Donnie and Marie, it's like Grease on Wheels. Get ready for a rock around the clock with Bobby Vinton's Rock and Rollers. Starring Kenny Martin, Stockard Channing, Eve Arden, Gail Gordon, and Fabian. All Monday at 8, 7 Central and Mountain.
You're on.
This is CBS.
Before you buy any car, see Gladding. Factory air-conditioned Chevette, just $99 down, $99 a month, only at Gladding Chevrolet, Glen Burnie.
Need some help? We have a catalog of over 200 helpful federal publications, and over half are free.
Jogging, exercise and weight control.
For your free copy, write Consumer Catalog, Pueblo, Colorado, 81009.
This is Tobor. Tobor, the telesonic robot. Batteries not included. He's under your control. With a click from the telesonic commander, to circle, to proceed forward, to circle, or to pick up the support module and return, all on your command. Tobor is robot spelled backwards. Tobor, the telesonic robot from Shopper.
Escape pod landing. Where am I?
It's the new Star Wars Land of the Jawas that you put together. Action figures sold separately. You can move the action lever and make the Jawa capture R2-D2.
R2, are you all right? What are they doing to you?
You can raise the elevator and make R2-D2 disappear into the sandcrawler.
Hang on, R2. I'm right behind you. Me too.
Kenner's new Star Wars Land of the Jawas. Action figures each sold separately.
New Star Wars radio-controlled Jawa Sandcrawler.
Let's find some droids.
2 9-volt and 2 D batteries not included.
The Jawa's got the Death Star droid.
Action figures sold separately.
Up the elevator. He's in.
By radio control, you can make the Sandcrawler travel almost any direction by going forward, backward, then forward again.
Now to find more droids.
Star Wars radio-controlled Jawa Sandcrawler. Action figures each sold separately. New from Kenner.
It's the new Star Wars lightsaber from Kenner. Inflation required, batteries not included. You can pretend you have powers when you switch on Kenner's Star Wars lightsaber.
Ready to feel the Force? Yeah! Switch on your Star Wars lightsabers, close your eyes, and go. I got it. Me too. Zap! You passed the test. The Force is with you.
The Star Wars lightsaber, new from Kenner. Balloons not included.
You're watching Star Wars Days with Pops.